Name. One name. Let's go. It's Smooth 98.1 Love Music, Love Life. Thank you very much for staying tuned here on Business Express 981. I am Ayo Myro Essay. Now, in case you tuned in earlier on during the news bulletin at 6:05 or during the opening speech at 6 o'clock, we mentioned that Rotus is not going to be around this week. However, we have a very competent person who's going to be speaking on his behalf throughout this week for Business Express 981. Some of you might recognize his voice. He's been here a few times. And today he's going to be joining me. And I'm about to take a test because his name is very special. We had to go through this in detail before the show. So here is Onome Owo Voriole. Voriole. Yes, fantastic. Thank you, Onome. Thank you so much for coming on the
So
show
at least,
today.
at least by coming to the show, I know my name pronounced right. So
Thank you. Excellent.
good
All right.
morning, Lagos and the rest of the world.
Brilliant. So you can find Onome at Kwansimodo on Instagram. That's Kwansi, that's Quasimodo with an N, Kwansimodo. Now, today's show, if you'd like to be a part of it, kindly send in your message to WhatsApp or send a message to our YouTube channel where we're streaming live. YouTube is youtube.com/ or search for Smooth 981 FM Lagos to be a part of the conversation. Or you can send a message to our WhatsApp handle, our WhatsApp platform 0809 444 0981. Again, that's 0809 444 0981. Our flagship story, if I put it that way, is on domiciliary account balancing in Nigeria, and the balances of the domiciliary account in Nigeria is estimated at $16 billion.
I was quite happy to see this. The report doesn't state if it was from the annual bulletin, but I suspect it was a quarterly bulletin. But anyway, it gave a breakdown of the DOM account balances in Nigeria. You can see that most of the money is held by or owned, right, by companies, right? So you have a very small fraction that's retail, and then you have states and other arms of government, right? And that's good because we've had this recurrent rumor of fear, that government is going to wake up one day and convert DOM account balances to naira, and that's not going to happen. I get that from a purely numerical perspective, maybe because of the size. People have that fear, but the reality is that's not going to happen. Most of that money is owned by companies, so the government can't literally just take it over and do that. So it's good news, and I hope people take out the time to go through the data,
Yeah.
and they can see that.
All right, so the data, as Onome mentioned, is in nairametrics. So if you want to see that, they just said that $16 billion in domiciliary accounts of commercial and merchant banks, according to data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, reveals. And what they've assumed is an official exchange rate of 410 naira per dollar based on NAFEX rates used at the investor and exporter window. I'm trying to see if it actually details or has a bit of the data.
Yes, that's the breakdown that shows.
Breakdown, yeah.
I think about 11ish billion is held by companies, then 3 point something billion is held by retail, you and I, and then the rest is held by the government. So it's a good thing, right?
Okay.
And I hope people would, take off that fear from their minds.
All right. Okay. So let us know. Does that assuage your fears in terms of, like Onome said, that hopefully the fears will be taken off people's minds. Let's see if that is true. Now, moving on, we have from this story that federal government loses 557 billion naira to unremitted taxes on retired advances and others.
I read the story and it gave a breakdown. And I think one thing people fail to realize is if we leakages, right? With any system, there are always leakages. So, okay, let me not use Smith firm. Let me use any firm, right? There always will be leakages. So really, what the government needs to do, and that's probably why you have some people hesitant about tax payments and all that is, I feel that the funds being raised and efficiently used. So why should I pay, right? Yes, it is your civic duty to pay, and you should pay. But um, I honestly feel that things could be tightened up. I know that some every minister of finance tries to tighten things up. I think it's a systemic thing, and that it has to start from the bottom. to the very top, really. So I do hope that these funds will be recovered. I know that, but more importantly, a system is put in place whereby people retire funds are supposed to retire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taxes are supposed to be remitted and all that, and it's not just a case whereby you have the National Assembly, whip up a storm, and after that it goes off. It's time to take action because really the country is broke, right? So every money is necessary.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. According to the report, we have here that the research was conducted by the Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative, and they just broke it down that between 2013 and 2017, 17, sorry, federal government lost this amount, that's 557 billion naira, to some infractions relating to award of contracts, unremitted advances to staff, and contract inflations, amongst others. So what they've said is, or as it's the title of the report says, achieving accountability and development in Nigeria. So of course the question would be then, Onome, how can we plug these leakages, like you mentioned? How can we achieve accountability and development in Nigeria? Because we keep talking about the tax net not being wide enough. We keep talking about people who find a way to dodge it, and we're trying to raise money for the economy. So how or what ways can the government plug these leakages?
People need to get punished.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best deterrent. People need to get punished, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the private sector and you're giving funds and you don't remit it, it's a big offense. So we need to see people get punished.
All right.
We need to see people suspended. We need to see people lose promotions. We need to see people go to jail, and it has to be done in a very public manner. So once we see that, then everyone will sit up.
All right. So we need to have people more consequences. We keep talking about that word is a word that is very, it comes up quite a bit, during Business Express and Freshly Pressed 981. One of the things that the number of people have accused the government of is of Nigerians and Nigeria is lack of consequence. So if there's no, like you mentioned, visible consequence, that is difficult to deter people from doing doing crime, doing things like the plugging, putting in leakages in the system, like you've mentioned. Yinka says, shh, Ayo, you people should not put ideas in their heads, oh, especially those folks at NAS. That's going back to the first story. $16 billion is a lot of money. Funny enough, Yinka, yeah.
It's not, because look, what Nigeria is, what, a 400 billion economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have what, maybe $16 billion in dumb account balances. Then the CBN has what, 30 something billion in reserves. So I know people don't like to hear, but Nigeria is a poor country. Really, it's a poor country. It's like, what analogy can I use to? It's like someone who has a techno phone and they're loading 100 naira data. You know, so I mean, you have a phone that's nice, but you're doing 100 naira data, so you're not very comfortable. So that's the thing. Nigeria is not a rich country. It's a country that has potential, but we're really very poor country.
I'm glad people don't like to hear that, and people don't even want to believe it. Because when you see things and the way money is being spent, especially at federal level, especially at government level, let me not say federal level, at government level, it is difficult to convince people that we're a poor nation or that we don't have money. Because they're like, okay, if we don't have money, then how are we able to afford X, Y, Z? And you seem to see a lot of people driving their luxury brand of cars. You see people going on holidays, getting Esther codes, and you're telling me that we are broke? How?
In every system there are pockets of affluence, right? So the royal family would joke that there's the rich side of the royal family and there's the poor side of the royal family. So it's the same thing with the government, right? There are parts of government that are a bit comfy. There are parts of government that are like refugee status, right? So really, when you look at the funds, when you look at where the country should be, when you look at the amount needed to develop infrastructure, right? Whether it's state, federal, local government level, we don't have those funds. We don't have the funds.
Yeah.
We don't have the enabling environment that would encourage the private sector to bring those funds, right? So we're not where we should be as a country. If we're where we should be, we're still struggling with power, we're struggling with security. I mean, so how are you, a rich country that can't take care of power and security? So what are you doing?
All right, thank you very much. Let me take this from Blessing. Blessing says before the government should think of consequences, they should start showing workings first. Maybe more people will be willing to comply. Have you seen the state of our international airport? It's a mess. We don't even have basic amenities. Look at Ghana. And they port too. It's not about poverty, it's just corruption. What do you make of that?
Um, you know, you there's corruption everywhere,
Mm.
right? So the problem is in the corruption, right? There's corruption in China, right? China is doing fairly well. There's corruption in the US. So the problem really is there are no consequences. So we have the laws, we have everything, but we need to see these things followed up from end to end. We need to see people go to jail. We need to see people lose their jobs, and we need to have names, right? And it has to be done publicly, right? So when that's done, everyone sits up, and that has to happen at all levels, right? And it has to be a systemic thing, right? So for instance, that if you blow a red light, right, without being told there's lasma there, like that's a system. So we need that system to work whereby the funds are meant for a project and the project is in maximally executed well, or someone has pilfered those funds, then the person goes to jail. And it goes beyond dealing with the contractor. We need to see the civil servants. And that's something that's not happened often. We need to see the civil servants really who are corrupt go to jail. Right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Benito says, Business Express. So I have a, oh, good morning, Business Express. I have a unique question. So Benito is digressing a bit, but I'll take it because it's been big news over the weekend, and I'd like to see if you have some thoughts on this. Says, why did CBN postpone the almighty and much talked about e-Naira launch? Is it because it has been ratified and passed into legislation and put into the constitution via amendment as a fair legal tender?
No. Okay. So what I read was they had overwhelming demand, and there were a couple of things needed to fix on the back end, right? And I'm sure they'll put into practice. But the reality of things is, Nigeria is a cash-based economy, right? That's not changing anytime soon. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to move with the trends and technology and have e-naira and all that. But look, if I take a stroll on these streets and the guy who sells across, when you get to the streets, he's not going to take e-naira anytime soon. So it will come into practice, but I think it will work better with large-scale transactions.
All right.
Really.
All right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you just agreed with with an explanation provided by Nairametrics as well. There's an article on there, Benito, that says exclusive why CBN postponed the launch of eNaira. You might want to get into the details of that. Yinka says Nigeria poor. I know, I agree. If you say the raw cash is not there, I will agree. However, real money is not cash. Rather, it's the value one can give out. Onome like JLo, wonder what would happen if you are the AGF. They're saying that since you're turning everybody to jail. All right, then okay, from UK says our problem as a country is there is no consequence in governance for poor performance and other vices. So okay, tends to agree with you, Onome. And then we have from Orisha, morning guys, it's a good thing that it's just $16 billion and about 11 billion forms the pool, or about 11 billion that forms the pool which corporates would need to pull from anyway. But I was shocked we just had 11 billion from corporates. Like, really? We are poor. All right, do we have time for final story? No, but just as we have mentioned, I'll just mention the final story, and then we'll wrap up things here. So court gives CBN the nod for rollout of e-Naira. Talking about e-Naira, so actually there's an update on that. That the court has given the CBN the nod. So if it's a back end issue, why did the court have to give?
Oh, okay. So someone went to court at the phrase e-naira belongs to them. So they took the CBN to court, right? So
Yeah.
what the court says is, okay, fine. Let's split things. We can argue about whether you deserve to get compensated or not, but that shouldn't stop the project itself from going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we had that story.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. Again, thanks to all our listeners on YouTube and on WhatsApp. I had one to encourage you, Onome, from Eniola Bologun, saying, welcome. Very confident to hold you down this week. I think you've done a fantastic job this morning. And we
Thank
look
you.
forward to having you again tomorrow and for the rest of the week.
Thank you, and thank you for getting my name right. So
Yeah, I was about to attempt it one more time before we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, from Money Africa, we've had Onome Owo coming in to analyze the business stories for today. He's sitting in for Rotus, who's taking a well-deserved break this week. And then you can follow Onome at Kwansimodo on Instagram. So that's Quasimodo with an N, Quasimodo. I'm Ayo Myra Essay. Stay tuned here on Smooth 98.1. At 7:30, we bring you today's edition of Freshly Pressed 981. We have Mr. C and Lakunle Yusuf joining us for analysis. Thank you very much,
Thank
Onome.
you. Why do Nigerians fear deals so much? It's not a big deal.
Because exactly, so you're not guilty, nothing to fear.